Take a moment to think of the most generous person you know. This is the person who gives so freely and without regard for themselves that they would rather go broke than see you go without. Got that person in mind? That person is a total pushover, right? God, it's so easy to take advantage of somebody like that. Why are those types of people so weak and stupid? Wait a sec. You say people like this aren't weak or stupid? They're strong, kind, caring, compassionate, and above all, the best freaking friends on the planet? Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, generosity is defined as the act of giving something without any expectation,
any freaking thing,
in return. It doesn't have to be monetary in value either. It could be time, compassion, affection, etc. It simply has to have value in the eyes of the recipient. And guess what happens to our brains when we give so freely like this? Yeah, our brains light up like freaking Vegas on the 4th of July. But this only happens when we give a certain way. Put differently, there are essentially two different types of generosity: one-handed giving and open-handed giving. When it comes to one-handed giving, it's like we're giving something to somebody with the expectation of something in return, whether that's gratitude or even reluctance in the secret hopes that the other person will refuse your generosity. When it comes to open-handed giving, we give to the recipient like what we're giving belonged to the recipient all along and we were simply returning it to them. Think about that for a second. Go ahead, we have time. Giving with open hands invokes a sense of lightness of being, and it shares a lot with forgiveness in that regard, in that after having done so, we actually feel physically lighter after the act. There's also similarities with humility in this regard, as many of the same parts of the brain are activated during this process. Your activity in this part of the series is to experiment with this concept, but to do so is going to require a significant and challenging effort on your part. Look, it's one thing to buy the person in line behind you at the coffee stand a latte. That's easy enough. But it's another thing entirely to come up with 5 different acts of generosity in one single day. Therefore, this activity is going to require some planning. In my book, in chapter 15, there's a pretty extensive list of suggestions for you to start with. Many of these activities don't require money at all because, let's face it, I know what it's like to be a broke-ass college student. A lot of these suggestions simply require time or maybe some physical effort. Plan one day this next week where you carry out 5 random acts of generosity in one day. And then I want you to reflect on the following questions. How did you feel beforehand? How did you feel as you carried out each act? Think of the levels of connection that you felt with each recipient as you carried out these acts. Did you find yourself expecting something in return, or were you able to redirect your attitude such that you were giving open-handed instead of one-handed? How did you end up feeling at the very end of that day? Most importantly, what's stopping you from doing this all the time? Something to think about as we get ready for the end of this series. You know the routine. Like this video if you like where we're headed, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time.